Bullies destroyed her dead mom's necklace. Her black belt sent them to the hospital. Maya Washington had never thrown a punch in anger, not once in her 17 years. But as she knelt on the cold cafeteria floor, desperately gathering the scattered pieces of her mother's broken necklace, something fundamental shifted inside her chest, like a tectonic plate finally deciding it had been pushed far enough. The delicate silver chain lay in fragments around her trembling fingers. The small butterfly pendant, the one her mother had worn every single day until cancer took her voice, then her breath, then her body, was cracked straight down the middle. Its tiny emerald eye, the birthstone that matched Maya's own, had popped out and rolled somewhere under the lunch tables. "Oops," said Tyler Brennan, standing above her with his usual smirk. His two shadows, Jake and Connor, flanked him like bookends of cruelty. "Guess you should have been more careful with your little trinket." Maya's hands shook as she placed the broken pieces into her palm. This necklace was the last thing her mother had given her before the final hospital stay. The last connection to the woman who used to braid her hair every morning and tell her that strength wasn't about fighting, it was about choosing kindness even when the world was cruel. "Please," Maya whispered, not looking up. "It was my mom's." "Was?" Tyler kicked at the bench beside her. "What happened? Did she finally get tired of having a daughter who looks like—" "Don't." The word came out sharper than Maya intended. She finally looked up, her dark eyes meeting Tyler's pale blue ones. "Don't talk about my mother." For 2 years, Maya had endured their comments about her hair, her clothes, her skin, her scholarship to this predominantly white private school. She'd absorbed their jokes about where she lived, how she talked, why she didn't fit in. She'd followed her mother's advice: be the bigger person, focus on your studies, don't give them the reaction they want. But her mother was gone now, had been gone for 8 months, and Maya was tired of being the bigger person. Tyler leaned down, his voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. "Oh, that's right. I heard she's dead. What was it? Couldn't afford real medicine?" The cafeteria seemed to fall silent around them, though Maya knew conversations were still happening. The world had simply narrowed to this moment, this choice, this line that Tyler had just crossed with steel-toed boots. Maya stood slowly, the broken necklace clutched in her fist. She was 5'4" to Tyler's 6-foot frame, but something in her posture made him take a half step back. "What did you just say?" Her voice was deadly quiet. "You heard me." But Tyler's smirk was wavering now. Maybe if you people knew how to— Maya's left hand shot out faster than thought, grabbing Tyler's wrist in a grip that made him gasp. Her right hand, still holding the broken necklace, came up to hover inches from his face. "You're going to apologize," she said. "Right now." Tyler yanked his arm back, stumbling slightly. His face flushed red, whether from embarrassment or rage, Maya couldn't tell. "You're crazy if you think I'm apologizing to you. Apologize for breaking my mother's necklace. I didn't break anything. You dropped it." Maya looked down at her hand, at the pieces of silver that caught the harsh fluorescent light. She thought about her mother's funeral, how empty the house felt afterward, how she'd worn this necklace every day since because it still smelled faintly of her mother's perfume. She thought about all the nights she'd cried herself to sleep, clutching the butterfly pendant and pretending her mother was still there to tell her everything would be okay. When she looked back up, Tyler was grinning again, thinking he'd won. "You know what?" Maya said, her voice steady now. "You're right. I did drop it. Because you pushed me. Prove it." Maya smiled then, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. "I don't have to prove anything to you. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this." The incident at lunch had drawn a small crowd, but nothing came of it. Maya walked away. Tyler and his friends high-fived each other, and life at Westfield Prep continued as normal. Maya spent the rest of the day in a strange, calm state that felt like the eye of a hurricane. She didn't tell anyone what happened. Not her best friend Keisha, not her guidance counselor, not her grandmother who was raising her now. Instead, she went home to their small apartment and carefully placed the broken necklace on her dresser. She stared at it for a long time, remembering. Her mother, Dr. Aisha Washington, had been a pediatric nurse who worked double shifts to pay for Maya's education. She'd grown up poor in Detroit, fought her way through nursing school, and believed that education was the key to breaking cycles. Even while going through chemotherapy, she'd helped Maya with homework and talked about college plans. "Promise me something, baby," her mother had said during one of their last conversations. "Promise me you'll use everything I taught you to make the world better, not worse." Maya had promised, but her mother had taught her more than just kindness and perseverance. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 4 years, Maya had attended Master Chen's dojang downtown. Her mother had insisted on it after they moved to this neighborhood, saying Maya needed to know how to protect herself. Maya had earned her black belt just 3 months before her mother's diagnosis, and she'd kept training even during the worst of it. The discipline, the focus, the physical exhaustion, it had been the only thing that helped with the grief. Master Chen always said martial arts wasn't about fighting. It was about discipline, respect, and knowing when not to fight. Maya had taken those lessons to heart, using her training to stay centered when Tyler and his friends made their comments, to breathe through the anger instead of acting on it. But lying in bed that night, staring at the broken necklace on her dresser, Maya realized her mother had taught her something else too. There was a difference between being strong enough to walk away and being too afraid to stand up. The next morning, Maya wore her hair in the tight bun she used for sparring. She chose jeans instead of her usual dress and sneakers instead of flats. When Tyler cornered her by her locker before first period, she was ready. "Hey there, Butterfingers," he said, loud enough for others to hear. "How's your mom's jewelry doing?" Maya closed her locker door and turned around slowly. "Tyler, what, no tears today? I thought you'd be all broken up about it." Jake and Connor laughed at his pun. "Actually," Maya said, hefting her backpack onto her shoulder, "I wanted to thank you." Tyler blinked, thrown off script. "What?" "You taught me something important yesterday, about who you really are." Maya stepped closer, and she noticed Tyler didn't step back this time, probably because they had an audience. "And about who I need to be. Listen, ghetto princess." The words died in Tyler's throat as Maya grabbed the front of his polo shirt and pulled him down to her eye level. The movement was so smooth, so controlled, that it took him a moment to realize what had happened. "I'm going to give you one chance," Maya said quietly, her voice carrying despite its softness. "Apologize for what you said about my mother, and stay away from me for the rest of the year." Tyler's face went through several expressions: surprise, anger, calculation. He was bigger than her, stronger in the traditional sense. But something in Maya's grip, in the perfect balance of her stance, in the absolute stillness of her expression, made him hesitate. "Let go of me," he said, but his voice cracked slightly. "Apologize." "I'm not apologizing to someone like you." Maya nodded once, as if he just confirmed something she'd already known. She released his shirt and stepped back. "Okay," she said. "I tried to do this the easy way." Tyler straightened his shirt, his confidence returning with the distance between them. "You tried to do what? You think you can threaten me?" "I think," Maya said, walking backward toward the exit, "that you're going to leave me alone now." "Or what?" Maya paused at the door, her hand on the handle. The morning sun streaming through the windows caught the silver studs in her ears, the ones her mother had given her for her 16th birthday. "Or you'll find out what 4 years of martial arts training can do when someone has absolutely nothing left to lose." The confrontation Maya had been expecting came 2 days later, but not in the way she'd anticipated. She was walking home from school, taking her usual route through the park that bordered the more affluent neighborhood where Westfield Prep sat, when she heard footsteps behind her. She didn't turn around. In the reflection of a car window, she could see Tyler, Jake, and Connor following about 20 yards back. They'd been building up to this, making comments in class, accidentally bumping into her in the halls, texting her crude messages from anonymous numbers. Maya kept walking at the same steady pace, but her breathing shifted into the rhythm Master Chen had taught her. She could feel her heart rate slow, her awareness expand. Every muscle in her body was relaxed, but ready. "Hey," Tyler called out. "We're talking to you." Maya stopped walking. She was in the middle of the park now, on a path lined with oak trees. It was 4:30 in the afternoon, and the space was mostly empty except for a few joggers in the distance. She turned around slowly. "What do you want, Tyler?" The 3 boys approached, spreading out slightly as they got closer. Maya recognized the formation. They'd done this before, to other kids. Tyler in the center, Jake and Connor flanking to cut off escape routes. "We want to have a conversation about respect," Tyler said. "You've been really disrespectful lately." "Have I?" "Yeah, you have. Walking around like you own the place, threatening people." Tyler was close enough now that Maya could smell his cologne, expensive, cloying. "I think you need to learn your place." Maya looked at each of them in turn. Tyler, the ringleader, whose father was a city councilman, and whose mother chaired the school board. Jake, who lived in a mansion but drove his BMW to food banks to take photos for his college applications. Connor, who'd never worked a day in his life but complained about people taking handouts. She thought about her mother, who'd worked 16-hour shifts to pay for Maya's tuition at this school, about the scholarship application essays she'd written about overcoming adversity and building bridges between communities, about all the time she'd bitten her tongue and smiled and tried to fit into a world that never seemed to want her there. "You know what I think?" Maya said. "I think you're scared." Tyler's laugh was forced. "Scared? Of you? You're scared because I didn't cry. You're scared because I didn't run. You're scared because every time you try to make me smaller, I just stand up straighter." Maya took a step forward. "You're scared because you know that everything you are, everything you have, came from your parents. But everything I am, I built myself." "Shut up," Connor said, moving closer. Maya's peripheral vision caught the movement, but she kept her eyes on Tyler. "You broke my mother's necklace because you wanted to break me. But here's what you don't understand." Tyler shoved her hard. Maya stumbled back but didn't fall, her training automatically adjusting her balance. "I said shut up." Maya straightened slowly. The calm she'd been maintaining cracked slightly, and something darker slipped through. "That necklace was the last gift my mother gave me before she died," Maya said, her voice carrying a new edge. "She wore it every day through chemotherapy, through surgery, through everything that killed her piece by piece. It was all I had left of her, and you destroyed it because you thought it would be funny." "So what?" Jake said. "It's just jewelry." Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised all of them. She laughed. "You really don't get it, do you?" She shook her head, almost pitying. "You think this is about a necklace. You think this is about name-calling or pushing or whatever game you're playing here." She took her backpack off and set it carefully on the ground. "This is about the fact that you've spent 2 years trying to convince me I don't belong somewhere I earned the right to be. This is about you thinking you can walk through the world taking things from people because you've never had anything taken from you." Maya stretched her neck to one side, then the other, a habit from sparring practice. "This is about you not understanding that some lines, once you cross them, you can't uncross." Tyler looked uncertain for the first time. "What are you doing?" "I'm making a choice," Maya said. "The same choice my mother made when she decided to put herself through nursing school. The same choice she made when she worked 2 jobs to send me to your school. The same choice she made when she fought cancer for 3 years instead of giving up." Connor made the first move, reaching out to grab Maya's arm. What happened next took less than 10 seconds. Maya sidestepped Connor's grab, her hand shooting out to strike his wrist at precisely the right angle to send him stumbling backward into a tree. Jake lunged forward, and Maya dropped low, sweeping his legs and using his own momentum to send him sprawling onto the gravel path. Tyler swung wildly, his fist cutting through the air where Maya's head had been a split second before. She was already moving, her elbow connecting with his solar plexus just hard enough to drop him to his knees, gasping. The entire encounter was over before any of them fully understood what had happened. Maya stood in the center of the path, breathing steadily, looking down at 3 boys who were groaning and trying to figure out how they'd ended up on the ground. Connor was holding his wrist, Jake was spitting gravel, and Tyler was doubled over, fighting for air. "You're all going to the hospital," Maya said quietly. "Connor, your wrist is sprained but not broken. Jake, you've got some scrapes and bruises. Tyler, you can't breathe right now, but you will in about 30 seconds. She picked up her backpack and slung it over her shoulder. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell the doctors, your parents, and anyone else who asks that you were riding bikes and crashed. You're not going to mention my name. You're not going to file reports, and you're not going to retaliate." Tyler managed to gasp out, "Why would we?" "Because," Maya said, looking down at him with something that wasn't quite pity and wasn't quite contempt, "if you do any of those things, I'll tell everyone exactly what happened. I'll tell them how." 3 boys followed one girl into a park and tried to intimidate her and how she defended herself. "I'll tell them about the necklace and the comments and everything you've said about my mother." She paused, letting that sink in. "More importantly, I'll tell them how easily you went down. How a 5'4" scholarship girl put all 3 of you on the ground in less than 10 seconds. And then I'll ask them what kind of boys corner a girl whose mother just died and try to hurt her because she won't let them break her spirit." Maya started walking away, then stopped and looked back one more time. "My mother always told me that strength wasn't about fighting," she said. She was right. "But she also told me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is show people that you're not afraid to fight if you have to." As she walked away, Maya could hear Tyler finally getting his breath back, could hear the 3 of them starting to argue in low voices about what had just happened. She didn't look back again. That evening, Maya sat at her desk working on her college application essays. On her dresser, the broken necklace caught the light from her reading lamp. She decided not to try to fix it, Instead, she was going to have the butterfly pendant set into a ring, something that couldn't be broken so easily. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. "Girl, why are Tyler Brennan, Jake Morrison, and Connor Walsh all in the ER with bike accidents? Someone said they were riding together and crashed?" Maya smiled as she typed back, "I have no idea. Sounds like they should be more careful." 3 days later, Tyler approached her locker before first period. Maya tensed, ready for round 2. But Tyler just stood there for a moment, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "I'm sorry," he said finally, "about your mom's necklace, and about what I said about her." Maya studied his face. His left eye was still slightly purple, and he moved like his ribs were sore. But more than that, something fundamental had changed in his posture, in the way he looked at her. "Thank you," she said. Tyler nodded once and walked away. Jake and Connor, Maya noticed, had been taking entirely different routes through the school to avoid her. That afternoon, Maya stopped by Master Chen's dojang for her regular training session. As she bowed before entering the practice area, she thought about her mother's advice about being the bigger person, about choosing kindness even when the world was cruel. Her mother had been right about that, but Maya was beginning to understand that kindness didn't mean allowing people to hurt you. Being the bigger person didn't mean making yourself smaller. Sometimes, Maya realized as she began her warm-up routine, the kindest thing you can do for someone is teach them that their actions have consequences. Sometimes being the bigger person means standing up to your full height and refusing to be diminished. And sometimes, strength is exactly about fighting, but only when you've tried everything else first. The butterfly pendant, now set in a simple silver ring, caught the light as Maya moved through her forms. It reminded her of something her mother used to say, "Butterflies only look fragile, baby. But they're strong enough to fly thousands of miles and beautiful enough to change everything they touch." Maya finished her training and bowed again before leaving the mat. She had college applications to finish, a scholarship to maintain, and a future to build. The boys who had tried to break her were learning to live with the consequences of their choices. And Maya Washington, daughter of Dr. Aisha Washington, black belt and survivor, was learning that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to be broken.